My relationship with Jesus has been a very interesting one, I guess. I grew up in a family that wasn't particularly religious. My mum took me to church, high Anglican church, and I became a boat boy, you know, the guy who carried around the little incense bowl and put the incense in for the guy who was doing all the smoke. And when she stopped going, I carried on going, actually, when I was small. I kind of liked the mystery and there was, you know, the stillness, until I got a bit older, and then I found it dreadfully boring and left it behind. But I carried a kind of an image of Jesus in my head. I wanted desperately to have lived at the time when I could have met Jesus, and was looking for gurus alive now that were claiming to be like Jesus, which of course many of them do. And I had a sense of wanting to serve, which was inspired by this figure of Jesus. But I was never a Christian. Peter was. Peter Gandhi, my co-author and friend, he was a fundamentalist Christian for a short while, and I was a kind of fundamentalist Hindu following a guru who was claiming to be like Jesus. And we kind of clashed, this was in our teens, with our different fundamentalisms. But I was never a Christian, and I'm not a Christian now. I'm not an anything. I'm just a guy who's exploring the mysteries of existence. And Christianity is one of the places to look and to learn from, and there's many. When we uncovered all of this mountain of evidence that there was no historical Jesus, I didn't lose a really important figure in my life. The historical Jesus wasn't central. And I know some people find that a big wrench and a big shock, but I think when you get used to it, and you know, I'm very used to it now. It was a big shock at first, but now the case is made for me. It all seems obvious and better. See, the real question that fascinates me is, if you let go of the idea of an historical Jesus, do you lose something or do you gain something? And I think overwhelmingly you gain more than you lose. Firstly, because Christianity then ceases to be about blind belief in a supernatural event that happened 2,000 years ago, supposedly, according to some old book, which is not particularly good evidence. And it replaces that with something amazing, which is, this is a myth which can lead you to gnosis, to waking up, to an experience, to discovering the Christ for yourself, a direct experience of the Christ within. Now, some people interpret that as having a personal relationship with Jesus, and I get told all the time by people, look, I know Jesus exists because I have a personal relationship with him. You see, for me, that's a great reason to be a Gnostic Christian, a really bad reason to be a literalist Christian, because your image of Jesus tells you nothing about any supposed historical man. And also, you know, you have to face the fact there are so many competing Jesuses. Everyone has a different one, it seems. So the chance of your Jesus being the right Jesus, if there was an historical man, which I don't think there was, but if there was, the fact is that the personal Jesus you're relating to probably isn't anything like the man was himself. He could even turn out to be someone you didn't like. Now, once you see that this is a myth, all of that goes. And then, of course, you have your own image of Jesus, because that's his role. He is a mask of God, as the great Joseph Campbell said. These figures, whether it's Krishna and Buddha or any of them, are imaginary images through whom we can relate to something which has no face, which has no qualities, which just is, and that's the numinous, the one, God, whatever word works for you. So suddenly it's okay that we all have different Jesuses, and through that we can relate to, But the real purpose is not just the image. The real purpose is to take us through to the Christ. And the Christ symbolically represents the one awareness within which everything's arising. What the Buddhists call the Buddha nature and the Hindus call the Atman. And we each call I. That's the real purpose. And this new understanding of Christianity that Peter Gandhi and I are offering, I mean, it's not new in the sense that it's the original understanding in our view, but it's new to most people, allows us to do that. And we don't have to become Christians. We can just take what's good and from anywhere. And the real beauty of it is suddenly the deep message in the teachings, in the Gospels, comes to life. And I'm thinking particularly of my favorite here, love others as yourself. Because when you see that we're all one, they are yourself, even your enemies. So you can love even your enemies. And I don't know of any teaching more profound than that.